My name is Aaron, and a few years ago I worked night security at a large storage facility just outside a small industrial area. The job was pretty simple. I'd sit in a small office near the entrance, watch the camera monitors, and every once in a while drive a golf cart around the rows of storage units to make sure everything was locked. Most nights were completely uneventful. The facility had long rows of metal units with narrow roads between them. During the day, it was busy, with people moving furniture and boxes in and out. But at night, it felt like a completely different place. Quiet, empty, almost too quiet. One night around 2:30 a.m., I was doing my usual patrol when something caught my attention. One of the storage unit doors was open. That wasn't normal. The facility closed at 9 p.m. and nobody was supposed to be there after that unless they had special permission. I parked the golf cart and walked over to the unit. The door was only halfway open and the inside was completely dark. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I stepped a little closer and shined my flashlight inside. The unit looked empty, just bare concrete walls. As I turned to leave, I heard something. A soft, metallic sound, like someone lightly tapping on metal. I turned back toward the unit. The sound came again. Tap, tap, tap. But this time I realized something strange. The tapping wasn't coming from the unit I had just checked. It was coming from the unit next to it. I walked slowly over and put my ear near the metal door. The tapping stopped. I waited a few seconds, then suddenly, bang! Something slammed hard against the inside of the door. I jumped back. My first thought was that someone had somehow gotten locked inside. I grabbed my radio and called the facility manager, who lived about 10 minutes away. While I was waiting for him to arrive, I stayed near the unit. That's when the tapping started again. But this time, it was moving. It sounded like someone dragging their hand along the metal wall from inside one unit to the next, unit to unit, getting closer, until it stopped right behind the door I was standing next to. Then everything went completely silent. I stood there for what felt like a full minute. Then I heard something I still can't explain. A voice, very quiet from the other side of the door. It said, "Can you let me out?" I stepped away from the door immediately. The manager arrived about 5 minutes later with a key. When we opened the unit, it was completely empty. No one inside, no second exit, just 4 metal walls and a concrete floor. I finished my shift that night, but I never worked another overnight shift there again. My name is Melissa, and I used to work at a customer service call centre that handled support calls for several companies. The building stayed open 24 hours a day, but my shift normally ended at midnight. Most nights the office slowly emptied until only a few employees were left finishing their last calls. One night I stayed late to finish some paperwork. By the time I looked up at the clock, it was almost 1 a.m. The entire office floor was empty, just rows of cubicles and dim overhead lights. I was about to log out of my computer when my phone rang. That wasn't unusual. Sometimes calls slipped through the system late, so I answered with the standard greeting. "Thank you for calling customer support. How can I help you tonight?" There was a silence on the line. Then I heard breathing. Slow, heavy breathing. At first, I assumed it was just a bad connection. Hello, can you hear me? The breathing continued. Then finally, a voice spoke. It was very flat, almost emotionless. The caller asked, "Are you alone?" I felt a chill run through me. I hesitated before answering. "I'm sorry, how can I help you tonight?" The voice repeated the question. "Are you alone in the building?" I hung up immediately. I figured it was just some kind of prank call. But about 10 seconds later, the phone rang again. It was the same number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Before I could even say anything, the caller said something that made my stomach drop. "I can see you." Slowly, I turned around in my chair. Behind me was a wall of windows looking out into the dark parking lot. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I noticed a figure standing near the far end of the lot, completely still, watching the building. I grabbed my things and left immediately. Later that night, security checked the cameras. They saw the same figure standing in the parking lot for almost 20 minutes. But the strangest part? There was no record of the phone call in the system. My name is Daniel, and I used to work as a cleaner in a large office building. My shift started after everyone else went home, usually around 8 p.m. The building had 6 floors, but most nights I only needed to clean the first 3. One night I was vacuuming the second floor when I heard a door close somewhere down the hallway. That was unusual. The cleaning crew was supposed to be the only people left in the building, so I walked down the hallway to check. Most of the offices were dark and empty, except one. At the very end of the corridor, there was a light on inside a small office. The door was closed. I assumed someone had stayed late working. I knocked lightly, but no answer. I knocked again, still nothing, but I could hear something inside. Movement, like someone shifting in a chair. I tried the door handle, locked. That's when I heard a voice from inside. Quiet, almost whispering, "Don't open the door." I froze. I stepped back and said, "I'm just cleaning. Are you okay in there?" The voice answered immediately, "No." Then silence. I stood there, unsure what to do. Eventually, I called building security. When they arrived, they unlocked the office door, but when the door opened, the room was empty. No one was inside. Just a desk, a chair, and a computer that was still turned on. Security checked the cameras afterward, and that's when they noticed something disturbing. About 10 minutes earlier, I had walked past that office, and the door had been wide open, no one inside. But somehow, between that moment and when I returned, the door had closed and locked from the inside.